Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honor unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, beginning with the 144,000 men. All right, this is just a quick video. Lord willing, straight to the point. I did a video on the similar topic, probably a couple of weeks ago. Basically going into the woman body count. And why, women shouldn't just be, running a body count, shouldn't be jumping on the cock carousel, and riding man after man, because it destroys them. All right? It destroys your mind. Basically, it makes you, insane. All right? Because it has as I mentioned in the last video with the neuroscientist who was going into it. Because I was actually looking for that video, for a long while. For the evidence, because they've been trying to hide it on social media, on the internet for a while, but it popped back up on TikTok, so that's why I did the video on it. You can go check it out, on my channel. All right, Lord willing, I'll put the link on the description box. But these are women who actually going into it and basically letting you women know the truth, It's from the YouTube handle Immortal Minds Conversations with Soul. You must be aware of who she is bound. She is bound to. All right, you must be aware of who she is bound to. Right, in different men, because as he goes into it, the guy goes into it after these videos. Basically these women, it's a spiritual thing. Sex is a spiritual thing. This is why sex is the marriage. All right, you don't have to go in no church with no priest and sign up, no papers. That's just Esau system. All right, but the true marriage is sex. Going back into the book of Genesis. In fact, let me get out before I play this video. All right, the book of Genesis, 24th chapter, in and around the 67 verse, 60. In around the 63rd verse, it says, "And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at evening tide. And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lighted off the camel. All right? For she had said to her servant, What man is this that walketh in the field to meet us?" Right? And basically, she saw him and she was attracted to him. Right, and the servant had said, "It is my master." Right, therefore she took her veil and covered herself, and the servant told Isaac all things that had been done, that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, was his mother Sarah had passed away, right, and took Rebekah, which mean what? He had sex with Rebekah, because she was a virgin. All right, and really and truly, a woman can only have sex once. All right, the word sex comes from the word sextos, the Greek, which means to cut. All right, when you have sex for the first time is the only time you're cutting anything. You're cutting the hymen, and the blood usually is comes out when you cut that, which is a blood covenant between you and your husband. This is why the first man a woman goes with, according to the law of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, is her husband for life. Right, and that's the reason why the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai said this is an adulterous generation. Right, because how many men could say, that they got the woman as a virgin. All right, very, very few. Very, very few. All right, because this woman been around the tongue and back. They're like a doorknob. Everybody takes a turn. It's Tom, Dick, and Harry, Pookie, and Riri. All right, and every beta male simp and Jana that pass through. As the scriptures say, she opened up her quiver to every arrow. All right, this is how the mindset of these women, especially with feminism has deceived and destroyed a lot of you women. All right, for you sisters coming back to the truth, coming back to the knowledge, repent, and hey, change your ways, quit your old ways. All right, because it's gonna just lead to your destruction, as we're gonna see shortly in the video. It says, and she became his wife. And he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Now he took Rebekah, which that would take, I believe it is Lakak. Let's see. Yes, quack. It says what? To take, get, fetch, lay hold of, seize. What do you seize? What do you think he did? Hugged her? No. He had sex with her. All right? And she became what? His wife. So they didn't go to a church or anything like that. All right? You know, so it's a spiritual thing. All right? And what did the Lord say? What? Let no man set asunder. Let what the Lord put together. Let no man I think it's cast asunder. Yeah, cast asunder. Let's see if that KJV. All right. It says Matthew 19:6. Let no man cast asunder. All right. Let's go at Matthew chapter 19 and verse 6. It reads what? In fact, let me read a little higher up. All right. Matthew 19:4. It says, and he answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. So they literally become one flesh. Because why? The man's body, the parts of the man's body, the sperm, the semen, which has his DNA in it, goes into the woman. And, you know, it becomes a permanent part of her. It remains in the woman. All right? Even women who haven't had, you know, any children, never were pregnant, or never had any male children, they found male DNA in their brains and other parts of their bodies. So how are we going to explain that? We're gonna take a look. All right? It says, wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore the Heavenly Father had joined together, let not man put asunder. And men in the wickedness, you know, commit adultery. You know, these jakes out here, you know, some low down monkey ass niggas. All right, you know, who just, so, you know, they don't care. They just care about the physical flesh pleasure that's going on laying down with a woman. Don't care if the woman have a man or not. All right, and that's why the Lord, you know, made adultery punishable by death, because it's going to cause all sort of confusion. That woman is not going to view her husband or the man, you know, the same way again. All right, even if she went with the wrong man in the first, when she goes with a proper man, you know, she can't pay a bond with him because she's all fucked up. All right, so let's go into this video here, and let's see why, you know, this says why women are mentally ill. Right? Come on, let's go.
I think a lot of the times what women don't want to talk about is, it's like you have these get more bodies. Now one day you want to settle down and try to have a happy housewife life. And it's like, after having all these bodies and having all this memory of these different men going in and out of you, you think you're not going to just be able to just sit down one day and submit to a man and stay loyal to a man?
Yeah, and it's disgusting, to be quite frank, about it. And a woman, it becomes what? Polluted, greatly polluted. Just as the scriptures say, the book of Jeremiah 3:1. They say, if a man put away his wife, because a woman is likened unto what? A piece of land. Right? And she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Right? And these women, you know, the more, you know, after the first man who took your virginity, which is really your husband, you know, the other men are all, you know, committing adultery. All right? That's why the Lord says that it's a generation of adulterers. It's all wickedness going on in this place. You know, so we want this place to come to an end. It's all evilness. All right? You know, and disgusting. All right? Esau, Edom, and his wickedness has caused this. All right? He's the one who pushes adultery over glorifying sex. All right? And giving these women feminism, which teach them that they equal to a man, when you're not. Your whole makeup, your physical makeup is completely different. You receive, you don't give. A man gives. All right? So a woman can't be a man. Right? You're basically messing up yourself. Right? It says, they said, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be what? Greatly polluted? All right? And let's get that word polluted. See what it means. All right? Let's go here.
Polluted.
Let's raise up the volume. It says contaminated. Wow. Contaminated with harmful or poisonous substances. Beautiful. All right. So that's the other sperm of those other men. They're harmful and poisonous because why? Now you're not going to be able to have a peaceful relationship with a woman. She's not going to be able to pay a bond with you, have the same mind with you. Right? She'll always be masculine as hell, clamorous, argumentative, making your life a hell, a living hell. So she's polluted. You know, what is a woman? A woman is supposed to be a pillar of rest. Right? A possession and a pull-up. How can you possess a woman who all these different men possessed before? It's impossible. All right? So you had to know, as the guy said, it's good to know a woman's background, who she been with, to know how fucked up she is. Because some of these niggas, some of these Negroes that these women been with, these pookie, rere, con men, drug men, they're full of demons. Right? They're full of demons. They're little reprobate GMO niggas, nigglets. All right? Okay? Contaminated with harmful or poisonous substances. Okay? You know, fair use. This video is only for educational purposes only. All right? So those, now other men's DNA become what? A poisonous substance. It's like a virus. Whereas, you know, it was just only supposed to be one man to program your mind properly to become one flesh with that man, one mind. You know, now, you know, it's a whole lot inside there about some of these women have up to over 50 men. This is what's going on. All right? So they're tainted. They're poisoned. They be foul. Their mind is a mess. They're infected with viruses. Not only literally, you know, mentally too, because they found these male DNA or the male chimerism in these women's brain, which means affecting your thoughts, your emotions. All right? This is how serious this thing is. Let's go back here.
Out of you. You think you're not going to just be able to just sit down one day and submit to a man and stay loyal to a man after you've had all those different bodies and all those different spirits going in and out of you? And then now everything that you do, every man that you attempt to date, every man that you try to settle down with, if you're even trying to do that, you're now going to judge based upon that lens.
Because some of these women want to stay on the cock carousel. All right?
Nobody's going to measure up. You can't have multiple men and act as if you're not going to have repercussions. Some theories suggest that anytime a woman has a man, he literally leaves his genetic material in her body. If you think about it, just the anatomy of a woman, right? Anytime a man is entering into her woman, times out by 10, 20, 50. Let's say you're a woman walking around with the genetic material of 50 men in your body. That ain't gonna mess up your pH balance.
Wow. You're very polluted. All right? You're very polluted. All right? Basically, like a nuclear wasteland. All right? You're through.
That ain't gonna mess up your hormones. That ain't gonna mess up your psychology. Like, we act like we can do these behaviors.
That's why these women are so messed up. All right? That's why they're so fucked up in the head. All right?
And there's no repercussions, and that's not real life.
That's Esau Edom, you know, and feminism. All right? You know, they took it hook, line, and sinker from the so-called white man, you know, and they ran with it. All right? As the serpent beguiled Eve. All right? Let's go as the serpent. This video getting a little longer than I expected, but hey, say what? You know, that's the spirit of the Lord. This is 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. Let's go there. 2 Corinthians 11. Oh, let's go here. And verse 3, it says, "But I fear lest by any means, as the serpent," which is serpent is going, the old serpent, that old serpent is Esau Edom, so-called white man, the wicked the Bible speaks of, who created what? They pushed this feminism. A woman compassing a man, a woman being equal to a man. Right? So the woman was what? Beguiled. Right? They were deceived. You know, he deceived Eve through his what? Subtlety, his knowledge on the left-hand side. So your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Mashiach, which is the divine order. You know, divine order, 1 Corinthians 11, from verse 1 on down. A man is over a woman. One man, not many men. Yeah, these women like 50 Cent song, you know. Many men. You know, many men. You know, these men literally put debt upon you. But now you can't pay a bond with your husband. You can't have a proper family. All right? 70% of women initiate divorce. That speaks volumes. All right? That speaks volumes. So if you're hearing this, you sisters better, hey, change your ways.
Behaviors, and there's no repercussions, and that's not real life. That's maybe what you see on televisions. That's maybe what we see in these different series. But the reality of how it impacts you, it's not just physical, it's not just emotional, it's spiritual.
Because some of these women too, their crotch be smelling like rotten saltfish. All right? Because why? It's all different seed mixing in there. Going back into Isaiah 3. And let's jump down here. Isaiah 3 and let me read from verse 17. Isaiah 3 and 17, it said, therefore the Lord will smite thee with a scab, the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. Right? But it also speaks about, stink. When you jump down to verse 24, it says, and it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be stink. Why do you think they're going to be stink? Because these women have all this different male DNA up inside of them. All right? Mixing, fighting. Sperms are like little warriors. They fight. All right? And then your immune system now sending your white blood cells to battle off all this. Your private parts become a battlefield. All right? That's what you have to understand. Right? There shall be stink. And instead of a girdle, a rent, right? Because it's gonna mess you up, gonna mess up your hormone balance, your pH, as she was talking about. Right? And instead of well set here baldness, right, which most of you all are bald because you're putting all this shit on your head. And instead of a stomach or a girding of sackcloth and burning instead of beauty, you become all messed up. All right? All messed up. Through.
It impacts you on every single level.
And the truth is, sleeping with a man does change you. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And so women don't want to accept that.
They don't.
You have to understand these things. If you are going to engage in something, you have to understand the results of it. You can't deny it. Right? You can't deny that once a man penetrates you, your body will change. Your mind will change.
Yeah. And you sleeping with multiple men, that's the reason why women are mentally ill.
All right, there you have it. Why some women are what? Mentally ill. That's why they can't trust the man, that's why they can't be feminine. They can't submit themselves. All right? And the guy goes in, you can watch this video. It's a good video. He goes into the story of Medusa, who was violated by the evil energy of Poseidon. Basically, and she changed. She became masculine, basically, and she was a destroyer of men afterwards. All right? So women's minds and the body literally change through sex. You heard about the oxytocins and the different hormonal balances change and all these things like that. A woman can't be yours on a spiritual level when she had too many men. I believe they said 10 men was the cutoff. That's what the experts say. But I guess these women, most of them had much more than 10 men. But hey, that ain't no good. You shouldn't have more than one. All right? This bond that the Lord set up is real. The Lord made it this way. All right? Okay? And this is why a lot of women, when they go into, they say that, the first, it's not the same after the first time. They always have a link to these men whenever these other men are wrong. All right? Anything else is not really real. So we don't really have women on this side, as the elder Apostle Gaba always goes into. We really don't have women on this side. They say there's a wife, but only in the kingdom we're gonna have our real woman. All right, let's skip forward here. Let's play one more section, and Lord willing, close it off. Let's go here.
4. Not sure if it's saved or if it's blocked out. I'll leave a link to that video. Where I was speaking about, this is what I was speaking about. In 2004, there was a study conducted after a strand of male DNA was found in the brain of a woman. Now, scientists had no idea how it got there. But after examining over 120 women, they discovered that when a woman is pregnant with a male child and gives birth to a male child, the part of his DNA remains in her body forever. Now, what baffled the doctors is that women who were included in the study that didn't have male children, or women in the study that had never been pregnant at all, still had this male DNA inside of them. So doctors were pretty much at a loss. It was ultimately discovered, man, that the DNA found in these women's body was from their previous sexual partners. Like this was crossing my mind. It was on my mind heavy for a minute on why I was kind of like researching on why women's mentality would change. Like a lot of women will move a certain way and do a certain thing or have certain character traits. And I was just trying to dig into it, man. And I came across the story of Medusa, right? And if you look at the story of Medusa, man, it's talking about a woman that was like virtuous and moved a certain way, but she got violated, man, and this man's energy got into hers, and she just kind of changed into something else.
Into a monster. All right? And that's basically what you women doing to yourself, you know, when you do that. When you open your quiver to every arrow. All right? You become a monster. You become all messed up. You become a wicked woman. All right? So, hey, I pray this lesson was edifying, you know, hey, this shit is real. You know, be afraid. Be very afraid. All right? The Lord is a terrible power. And he will judge you. Okay? He will, now you know the truth, he will judge you. Say next time, Shalom wa harag babal.
And I came across this young lady's